Alright, so I recently upgraded my PC so I can run two games I was really looking forward to. Was mixed on the first of those games, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I will say Stellar Blade definitely met the high expectations I had going in. I knew this game would be right up my alley right when I saw the Nier comparisons coming in pretty early. Plus, I had played Nikkei for a bit and thought it was pretty good for what it was. So I definitely had some confidence in Shift Up being able to pull it off, especially with the backing of Sony. There was a little bit of a worry since another game I was hearing comparisons to is Dark Souls, and I've never played a Souls-like game. Honestly, I've been kind of intimidated to even try, since I don't consider myself to be a very skilled player. Despite that, luckily, because I saw you can switch the difficulty at any time anyway, I did decide to go through on normal mode, mainly since I feel like the last few action-oriented games I played through on easy mode were starting to feel a little too easy. But yeah, I feel like normal was definitely a fun, fair challenge in this game, even for me. Didn't even need to turn it down at any point, which was nice and rewarding. It does almost make me wonder, would I like Souls-like games? Maybe I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. Perhaps, you would expect more of what was in hard mode here in those kinds of games. Plus, I was keeping up on the different collectibles and side quests and all of that. So I feel like around the middle of the game to the end, I may have been over leveled from doing that. Or maybe not. Maybe I just was getting a better handle on things. I don't know. Either way, though, the combat in this game was so fun. Like, even better than I remember Nier Automata's combat being. You have such a good variety of approaches to take, different weapons, particularly projectiles to use, skill abilities, and different dodges, counters, and blocks. It was really fun, especially when you just got a good rhythm going with it, when you're just locked in. There's a good variety of enemies, too. Hell, even, just exploring everything and facing some of the mobs over and over again, I never really even got sick of it, honestly, except for the turrets. Although maybe that's my fault, because I'll admit I was maybe probably being a little too conservative with the ammo for my guns. So maybe that one's self-inflicted. I feel like you had a really good back and forth going in this game, too. You had basically 5 major levels, and you had 3 linear levels with 2 more open worlds in between, both of which also had a special, more linear challenge baked into the end of them. The only thing I thought was a little weird is how they wound up theming both open areas around a desert. Granted, they're both well designed. It didn't feel repetitive, or I didn't really get them confused at any point or anything. Maybe it was an intentional world building decision, but I don't know. I would have preferred the open areas to have different environments here, or, more different, at least from the aesthetic side of things. The music was also just so good. Is that why Stellar Blade was up for all of those sound awards at the Game Awards last year? Either way, I don't know how it'll age compared to the Nier stuff. If the songs, long term will stick out as much as City Ruins or Weight of the World, but honestly, a majority of the songs in this game I would still have going in the back of my mind well after playing it. And like I said, they were all good. I certainly didn't mind if they were in my head. I do have one major complaint that comes down strictly for going for 100% completion. And it's just such a shame because it was so close to getting it right, I feel like. Or at least it's such an easy fix. But basically, to get all of the achievements, you need to play through the entire game. There's 3 different endings, so 3 different times. And honestly, I just don't like repeating myself like that, especially when they don't really add a lot to it. Like, I can justify once, since I liked the game as much as I did. And honestly, I already started, but it has been fun to this time just go through on easy mode with my overlevel character in New Game Plus, just ripping through everything super quick. Each area is only taken, maybe an hour, maybe 2. But then, I don't know, I wish there was like a mirror mode or just something else to help incentivize additional playthroughs. There's no, alternative perspectives like Nier had or anything like that. And like I said, if they just let you have another save, that would fix all of that. And another thing I had an issue with too is that the game resets your sub-stories and your quick travel points, which affects your efficiency, I guess, when it comes to maybe rounding out a few collectibles you were missing, or to even know what quick travel / checkpoints you were missing for that achievement, and to have, less convenience when it comes to some of the different shops and rewards you got from doing the sub-stories, to have to, once again, repeat yourself was just annoying. And with that, I wish it was, I don't know, a toggle or something. Maybe when you first start New Game Plus as to whether or not you want to carry that shit over. Besides that, I don't know. I think you can make the argument that some of the bulletin board quests were kind of repetitive. And yeah, I agree, but honestly, I just don't really care that much. I was still entertained through the combat and world through doing all of them, personally. The story itself was definitely not at Nier's level, I feel like. I will say it gets pretty good, though, towards the end when you get to the last area. Spoiler alert at this point, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But I will say the first twist that I feel like they had, where it's the Nitibas are formerly humans. I mean, I felt like that was predictable. I feel like we've seen that before. How wasn't that pretty much with what Nier Replicant did? And I will say I was expecting at least one character to kind of come out and not be quite who we thought they were. I was thinking Oracle. I thought maybe at some time he was going to get into some mech body or merge with a Nitiba and make some sort of big move or play. And yeah, I wasn't expecting, Raven to sort of have that first big leap there, I guess. I was kind of expecting her to... I don't remember the singing girl's name. Is it Anya? Maybe, but I was expecting maybe a similar situation there, where you find her still alive, but she needs repairs, and maybe that's a main quest, or I don't know, maybe it goes to Taki route instead. I don't know. One last thing I will say, though, is that one of the best parts of when I finished the game was I thought I remembered them saying they were making a sequel, but I double-checked and that was indeed the case. Not that, I feel like this game was honestly a pretty perfect length. I don't feel like it really overstayed its welcome or was too short or anything. I can use a little bit of a break from this kind of game, but it's nice to know that, when I'm in the mood for something like this again, that Shift Up might have something new out that'll be just what I'm looking for.